services, who can be the better person than Dr. Suryavanshi, who is our commissioner in Kalyan Dombivli Corporation, under whose leadership we at Kalyan and Dombivli, we have marched in last 2 years during the pandemic, and entire country we have achieved within first 2 or 3 numbers as far as the COVID management is concerned, and entire credit goes to Dr. Vijay Suryavanshi for his leadership. And we are very lucky in Kalyan Dombivli to have a commissioner like him. We are very proud of him. I welcome you, sir, on this dais, and I wish very best for this today's program. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pate, for that introduction. And yes, every word of it makes sense. And let us move on towards today's session, for which everybody is very eagerly awaiting. And I'm very happy to note whatever I saw in the registration. We have got doctors, engineers, we've got graduate students, we have got IMM members, we have got teachers who have joined us today, and there are many who are going to be watching us on YouTube live, as well as on YouTube. The recordings will be seen later also. So let us move on to the session for today. The civil services refer to the executive branch of the Republic of India. It was Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel's vision that the civil service should strengthen cohesion and national unity of independent India. The values of integrity, impartiality, and merit remain the guiding principles of the Indian civil services. The civil services examination is a nationwide competitive examination in India conducted by the Union Public Service Commission for recruitment to higher civil services of the Government of India, including Indian Administrative Service, Indian Foreign Service, and Indian Police Service. Also simply referred to as the UPSC examination. When it comes to career choices, the civil services of India has always been considered as one of the most elitist career choices. The jobs which fall within the ambit of civil services offer greater sphere of authority and power than any other service in India. The civil services play an extremely important role in the administration, policy formulation, and implementation, and in taking the country forward towards progress and development. We are so honored to have our own Honorable Commissioner of Kalyan Dombivli Municipal Corporation, Dr. Vijay Suryavanshi sir, who is himself an IAS officer, as guest speaker for our today's session on career in civil services. And just give me a minute to start my screen share so that I can introduce him. Yes, is my screen visible to all? Yeah. So, sir is presently Honorable Municipal Commissioner of Kalyan Dombivli Municipal Corporation. He took over just when COVID was setting its foot in KDMC. And as Dr. Pate rightly said, he made Kalyan Dombivli march out of the COVID pandemic and the problems that we faced, the enormous problems that we faced, to such a beautiful extent that KDMC received first prize as the COVID-19 Innovation Award under India Smart City Competition 2020. He is IAS from the batch of 2006. His BSc Physics from RYK Science College, Nashik, and MBA from Department of Management, University of Pune. He's done many postings till date. He's joined CEO IT MIDC Mumbai. He has been CEO of Zilla Parishad Kolhapur, CEO Zilla Parishad Palghar, Collector Gondia, Private Secretary to Minister of State for Defense, Government of India, New Delhi. He's been Collector Raigad. He is recipient of multiple national awards. He has had undertaken multiple, and wherever he goes, basically he brings up lots of innovations in that particular area. He's initiated Operation Kaya Palat at Kolhapur, which is now being implemented at national level, and presently the same Operation Kaya Palat is also going on in Kalyan Dombivli. He started Rajashri Shahu Nivasi Krida Prashala Residential Sports School for Zilla Parishad students at Kolhapur. The students have won more than 200 national and international medals. He started Gudi Padwa Shala Pravesh Wadhwa program for increasing the admission to Zilla Parishad schools. Started Saras Festival and Saras Mitra Awards for conservation of Saras. And it is with great pleasure and an honor I present to you all Dr. Vijay Suryavanshi sir, and sir, the dais is all yours.
Thank you, Dr. Mangesh Pate and Dr. Archana Pate, for a very generous introduction. The credit that Dr. Mangesh Pate, sir, you gave me for the COVID award is not my individual credit. It, it was all teamwork, and you were all part of the team that I led in the fight against COVID. And that the teamwork actually got us this award of COVID innovation at the national level. Actually, I'm sorry, I'm not, dressed up in a formal way because I just got discharged from hospital a day before. I have a fracture in my left wrist, and so first, my apology for that. I'm so happy that students of 10th standard, 12th standard, doctors, engineers, and you mentioned teachers also have joined, parents have joined. And this is very heartening to know that so many people from diverse fields of life have their curiosity about the careers in civil services. First thought that it comes in everyone's mind about civil services is some people are attracted towards civil services for the power that it brings. Some people are attracted towards civil services, for the glamour that it brings, the facilities, and so there are lots of factors which actually attract a person towards the civil services. My personal experience with civil services, I was just thinking in the morning as to why I actually, opted for civil services, why I got attracted. And I remembered, when I was a student of 4th standard, I was studying in my village, and a very small village in Nasik district. And a senior officer, I didn't know who the officer was that time. So he had come for some inauguration purpose in my village, and so he happened to visit our Jilla Parishad school. So though I was since I was a slightly bright student, I was told to explain, about the school and all to the senior officer. So in the evening, I asked my father who this officer was. My father told that he's an IAS officer. He's the CEO of Jilla Parishad of Nashik, and so he can change everything. So as a child, I had this curiosity. I used to see, issues of. I used to be very offended by seeing trees cut. So I used to ask my father, who can change this situation of tree cutting? I mean, who can stop this tree cutting? So my father used to say, there is one person who can do this in the district, and that is the collector. So that is how, from the childhood, I had this passion, the attraction of this particular service. Of course, later on, my passion was different. I joined Sainik School, Satara, and then I wanted to be a fighter pilot, to be very honest. And I almost got selected, but I couldn't join as a fighter pilot. Later on, then again, I switched over to my aim of joining the civil services. So first thing I would tell everyone to ask this question of why civil services, and why for me. See, there are 2-3 issues. Some candidates who write the civil service exam, they get influenced because of the parents. In most of the cases, it is the parents that influence students to write the exam. Sometimes it is a peer group. Since your friends are doing it, since your close relative has achieved that, and so there is a peer or relatives pressure that, oh, we should also try doing this. It's a good service. And so this is another cause of writing civil service examination. Sometimes a person actually explores, or sometimes a person actually, after having done graduation, after having done professional qualifications and doing some jobs also, after that also, they realize that they want to make some change. And so this relation also attracts some people to write the civil services examination. Now I'll come to the careers in civil services. So generally careers, people know only about IAS and IPS. So actually Union Public Service Commission, which conducts the All India Civil Services Entrance Examinations, it conducts this examination for various services. So there is Indian Administrative Service, that is IAS, Indian Police Service, Indian Foreign Service, Indian Railway Traffic Service, Indian Railway Account Service, Indian Defence Estate Service, Railway Protection Force, Indian Railway Personnel Service. Then there are COs of cantonments. So that is Defence Estate Service, Defence Account Service. Then there are services for Delhi and Andaman Nicobar services, civil services for Delhi and Andaman Nicobar Union Territories. So there are around 20 to 25 different types of services which are actually in the in this exam. So it depends on what preference you give and the merit that you achieve in the exam. So some of them may like IFS, Indian Foreign Service, or IAS. Some of them may like IPS or IAS. So these are individual choices that that actually count for when you are actually writing the exam. So these are different services which you can get allotted after you get selected in the UPSC examination. So the first thing that you have to think about is which service you are actually interested in, or it is just the general government service. Most of the candidates that I've seen, they want to enter a government service. I mean, preferably they'll like to be in the IAS or IPS or in the foreign service, but they're keen to join the government service. There are students who write this exam, get qualified for, suppose, if they don't get IAS, they get qualified for some other services, but they can still try and give more attempts to get into services that they want. So there are the opportunities till the age of 32. There are different options. I mean, you get to write the exam based on your number of attempts that you have already exhausted. So the first thing that a person has to decide is why he wants to enter the civil services. I think this is a very important question, and this is a very important aspect of or the first step towards writing civil services. This is because unless you have that fire within you to actually get into civil services, or the desire or the passion to enter the civil services, it is really difficult to go through the pattern that the exam has, or go through that that trauma or the tensions of the exam in the next 1 or 2 years whenever you decide to give the attempt. Now, people who are listening here, most of them must have decided already to join the civil services. Most of them must have already given attempts also, and they must have realized also how tough the exam is, what is the level of study that they have to actually do for this exam. The very fact that a huge number, I mean, almost 7 to 8 lakh candidates appear for this exam, the very fact that these many numbers appear for this exam, it makes it very tough. Basically, it's a competitive examination. So, I mean, it's always that even if you score very good marks, if there are some people who are scoring better than you, then you don't have the chance to get into the services. So, first thing is, when you opt for writing civil services, I mean, apart from once you decide that you want to choose this career, maybe for whatever reason, but that reason has to be very strong. Once you decide that, then first thing you have to do is go through the entire syllabus of the examination. go through the list of optional subjects. Now, the pattern of examination has changed. Initially, there used to be only 2 optional subjects, 2 general studies subjects, 1 language subject, and for the main examination. And for prelim examination, there used to be 1 optional, and there used to be 1 general studies examination. Now the pattern has changed. So, I mean, the time when we gave exam, the pattern was different. So now the pattern is such that it gives a balanced assessment. It makes a balanced assessment of the candidate. There are essays that you have to write. There are papers on ethics that you have to write. So very different levels of studies that are expected from a candidate for the civil services. Optional subject is one which is very important because you should have the liking for that subject. For example, if you choose anthropology or if you choose sociology, there is no condition that you have to choose the same subject that you did graduation in. Even if you are a science graduate or engineer or doctor, you can choose history, sociology, geography, anthropology, any subject that you wish to choose as an optional subject. But I would advise that if you are, if you are doing if you're taking the first attempt, then you must choose the optional very carefully. It should interest you. It should create an interest in you to study that subject. Just because there is a trend that some particular optional subject has got good scoring, you should not go for that. You should think which optional subject suits your style of studying, your style of reading, because some optionals are such that they are very you can say the social sciences subjects, which are like sociology, anthropology, maybe history. They're quite abstract subjects. But there are subjects which are semi-scientific, maybe like geography is one subject which can be semi-scientific, or there are science subjects also. So choose an optional which you will feel like studying for next 2-3 years, because you cannot just expect. I would definitely tell you that you should have an ambition to crack the exam in the first attempt. That should be the fire, that I'll crack it in the first attempt. But you should also be prepared that if you don't crack it in the first attempt, or if you don't get the service that you are opting for in the first attempt, then you may have to write your second attempt. So optional subject should interest you for next at least 2-3 years, and you should be able to write, analyze, evaluate the topics that are in the optional subject in a very lucid way. You should be able to write answers based on the study of the optional subject in a very proper way, because the other subjects that you have to study, which are common for everyone, the general studies, the essays, the ethics subjects. So general studies also is a very important subject, in the sense you have to go into lot of details: history, geography, political science, the civics that you say, all these subjects, even the biology, chemistry, and mathematics. So all the books that you might have studied in NCERT, or the state board people must not have studied from the NCERT. The books of NCERT right from 8th standard to 12th standard are the best books for preparing yourself for the preliminary examination or the general studies subject of the UPSC, because they are written in such a way, they're very concise, brief, and they cover entire syllabus of UPSC. So the first step, students who are going to take this attempt first time, for the students, I would tell you that first step would be to buy all these NCERT books right from 7th, 8th standards and start reading these books. Also, essay paper, earlier it was not there, before 95, there is no essay paper, but after that, essay papers have been included. Even writing an essay paper is, you cannot study or you cannot prepare for essay paper just in 2 months, 3 months. Okay? It's an habit. It's a way of writing that you have to develop. For an essay to be, very well written, you need lot of overall knowledge. So your general reading also is very useful if you want to really write essay to get good score in the essay paper. Same applies to the paper of ethics and other subjects. So these are the subjects that you have to start studying right immediately when you decide about writing the optional exam, the civil service exams. So again, I'll summarize. The first thing would be choosing a proper optional subject, choosing proper books to start studying about general studies and the essay papers and the ethics papers. You should have a proper collection of books. Second would be to initially to seek proper guidance. There are a number of different institutes which offer good guidance. There are institutes like State Institute for Administrative Careers, which is a Maharashtra government's institute that is right at CST on the Hazarimal Somani Marg near the Capitol Theatre. So that is one of the topmost institutes which gives proper guidance, and you have number of students who have been successful from that institute. So the alumni also is very successful from the SISE that we call, SIAC or SISE. So a person who is willing to give this exam, I think he should definitely visit SISE, talk to the teachers there, talk to the students who are studying for this exam. You'll find students who are studying for last 2 years, 3 years, and so they'll be the proper guide. They'll be giving you the proper guidance about the optional subject as well as the level of difficulty that the exam offers to you. There are different private classes also. I have no idea about different private classes, but they can also offer you, good guidance about the study material that you should study. Another thing that I would advise is you should definitely have a group of at least 3 to 4 friends who can, who are studying with you, maybe not sitting at your home, but at least, in group discussions, there is someone who is there to back you up, someone who is there to support you during your studies in terms of material, in terms of pep talk, in terms of, boosting your morale. Because UPSC exam, the phase is, the phases are very, very typical. Sometimes you are so depressed. Sometimes you feel you're a collector. Sometimes you feel you'll not clear the prelims exam also. So in this, all people who write the competitive exams must have gone through these different cycles of depression, excitement, depression, excitement. So friends are very important, because parents would not be of really great help during these phases, but friends would definitely be there to motivate you, inspire you. They'll say, no, arey, tu ban sakta hai, kar sakta hai, don't feel bad. So you should definitely have I will not say it should be a group study. Some people like group study also. That is also a good thing. But at least 3, 4 friends who are definitely there, maybe having the same optional exam, optional subject, maybe having the same background. Like doctors, they study together, MBBS students, engineers. So that is one thing which you must develop a group of students. Another thing is, please have your own style of study. Please develop your own style of study. Most of the students I have seen, writing this exam, get influenced by the style of studying of their peer group, the friends, or, some people like to study the full night. I mean, I have friends in the medical field who have studied like that. I mean, Dr. Pate and Mangesh Pate may agree to me. But doctors have a different style of studying. The students of MBBS, the students of engineering have different style of studying. The arts graduates have a different style of studying. So don't follow the style of studying that your friends are doing. Follow the style of studying or develop the style of studying that you actually are comfortable with. Even notes making. There are different aspects of studying. I mean, some people like to, write on the books, underline, green, red, yellow, different colors of underlining, writing on the book. Some people like to, write brief notes which they can revise during the main exam. So this is all a person has to start developing his own style of studying right from the day one. You may already have a style of studying, but UPSC demands a different, level of studying because the syllabus is very huge. And as we normally say that you have to study everything under the sun for this exam. So the very vastness of the topics and the subjects itself is a big challenge to, how to complete the entire syllabus, how to write the entire, how to, you know, uh, go into details of all the syllabus. So that is a way of, looking at it. Some people during our time, some people used to do what they used to call selective intensive study. So they used to, they used to study the question papers of last 10 years or 15 years. And then, they will understand what topics are more often asked or what topics are more covered. And then they'll select those topics and do intensive study of those topics. Some people do extensive study. So I would not say that selective intensive is better or extensive is better, but because again, it is different for every person. So extensive study also sometimes helps, because UPSC has many surprises every year. So sometimes the pattern of exam, I mean, not the pattern, the pattern of questions changes. So there again, maybe extensive study which a person has done, maybe of use. So these are the basics that a person should look at, once he decides to have careers in civil services. Now I'll tell you what careers in civil services offer, basically. See, there are so many beautiful careers now. You have the field of medicine, you have the field of engineering, IT. Then there are now, I mean, you name it, and there are so many careers which earlier, 20 years back or 20 to 25 years back, 12th standard student had to either go to medical or engineering, or then he was a failure. If he went for Bachelor of Science or BA, failure hai, medical ko nahi gaya, engineering ko nahi gaya. But now the days are not like that. Now there are so many careers. I mean, sometimes we get amazed, at how the students choose some different career, excel in that. So again, I'll tell you, because why I'm telling you this, I mean, some of you may not like what I'm telling you, but ये क्या बोलते हैं महाभारत में उसको चक्रव्यूह है, right? Starting to write UPSC is like entering a Chakravyuha. All, Vijay Suryavanshi will definitely tell you how to enter Chakravyuha. All these classes, private classes, academies will tell you how to enter Chakravyuha. No one will tell you how to come out of the Chakravyuha. So many students I have seen have gone into depression, have wasted their beautiful years of good careers and ended up, not getting selected. So that is also a reality. That is also a fact that you must look at it. But once you, I mean, if you are fully prepared to enter into civil services, I will tell you, they offer you so much of, variety of tasks that you can perform in your entire career. First thing is the power that they offer you. And that power is not for the individual gain, the power to actually change lives of people. As an the beauty of civil services is that you'll be always heading an organization. And whenever you're heading an organization, you can bring your own ideas. You can bring, a lot of changes in the administration. You can change the organization so that people are benefited from it. So the power to make change, power to change lives of people, I think that is one of the beauty of civil services. Second is the authority. I mean, along with the power, you get the authority to implement that power also. And you also have the responsibility. You have the responsibility of huge level. Actually, I was just wondering, Dr. Archana Pate, madam, that 10th standard, 12th standard exams are just over, and the students must have planned going for Top Gun Maverick and all, and I'm giving them lectures on civil services here.
So they can enjoy the Top Gun Maverick and then go for the civil services.
Because today is a day for Top Gun and they have to be here. But yes, I mean, what civil services offers is really, I mean, I would not demean any careers, or I would not say that other careers are not equally important. But the level of involvement in public policies, actual governance of the nation. I mean, Nehru, Vallabhbhai Patel used to say that it is the iron frame, the IAS is the, because it actually, if you see the entire governance, whether it is IAS or IPS or the foreign services or any other services for that matter, railways, they are into the development of the nation. So there are careers which are, there are careers which will make you, yeah.
Could you please unmute yourself? I have muted them otherwise. Yeah.
So, as a civil servant, see, there are people. I've met students who were very interested in working with NGOs and very keen on making social changes and all. And after some years, when I met them, they said, "Sir, we have decided to write the civil service examination because we realized that when we are going to look for some changes, we will definitely have to do it with the help of bureaucracy. So why not enter that?" There are some students who I have seen, doctors, engineers, who worked as doctors, engineers, and after that they have switched over to civil services because some of them felt that it is kind of an incident in everyone's life. When a person decides to, some people have said that once he had gone to his village and he saw the problems that the villagers are facing, and then he decided that he has to be a civil servant to solve these problems. So, as a civil servant, number one, the power to change the lives of people. Number two, to bring about innovative changes. All the problems that you keep on seeing in our lives are definitely related to the policies of the government. Most of the times they're related to policies of government. You always feel the railways should have these, the cities should have these, the villages should, the drinking water issue should be tackled like this. So all these things which you think that the nation should be having, or these are the changes that a nation should have, be witnessing in the near future. My dear friends, you can bring about those changes as a civil servant, as a policy maker. And it is not that some students who actually have come to me and discussed with me that what if we join civil services? Are we really able to deliver, or will we be again demoralized that we can't do changes? I'll tell you, during all my this 20-25 years of service, I'll tell you, there is no opposition for good work. There is always a good environment for good work. So whatever good work that you decide to do, will always find support in the political situation, in the social situation, and in the organization that you're working with. So a very close relative of mine, he chose to write UPSC exam. And I asked him, he was doing very well in a company, he was rising very fast, and he had done his MBA from IIMs. Suddenly, after 5 years, he decided to switch over to writing UPSC examination. I said, "Itna acha career chal raha hai, life acha hai. Why do you want to switch over to this?" So he had a very nice answer. He said, "See, uncle, I mean, what I am achieving is only for the company. I am only increasing the sales of the company and benefiting on my. Individually, I am benefiting, and I'm making the benefits available to the company with all my talents. What is happening is just I'm selling the company's product in a better way. But what if I get into civil services and use my talent for the welfare of people, for the benefit of people? I would have a real satisfaction in my life." So these are different issues, different aspects which one has to look into before choosing civil services. Now, I think I've covered what careers are, what it offers, and why you should choose or why you shouldn't choose. I think, Dr. Pate Madam, I would be open for questions now.
Thank you so much, sir. It was really elaborate, and I think you have given them a fair idea of what kind of Chakravyu they'll be getting into if they decide to get into this. But where there's a will, there's a way. You need to really have a strong will, and you need to have that feel that I need to make a change, because as they say, be the change that you want to see. So anybody wants to ask questions? Yes, we have Advita Dikshit. Ms. Dikshit, I'll be asking you to unmute. Please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Greetings, sir. I would like to ask you a question that I just currently completed my 12th standard, and I'm wanting to do my civil services. But I'm not understanding the importance, like what is the right time to begin, or when is the right time to begin? I have this question since a lot of time that it comes into my mind. And another being, lots of academies are named as IAS Academy, but what if I don't want to become an IAS? I think for me, it's IFS that I want to target.
Yeah, very good question. See, basically, as I told you, if you don't want to get into IAS, it is common parlance. I mean, people know IAS more than any other services. So all these academies name themselves as IAS Academy. But the UPSC exam that is conducted for civil services covers all these services. It covers IFS also. It covers, as I told you, railways and defense, state, and everything. Second thing is, you asked me about the right time to start studying. See, if you're really keen, even this is the right time. Some students say they started studying from 8th standard. I mean, this is all individualistic. If you feel like starting studying, you can start studying now, but not for UPSC exam directly. You start studying, you start reading NCERT book, you start reading general studies book, start reading Indian history, modern India, medieval history, Indian geography, world geography, because these are the topics that will be covered in your UPSC exam. So in a way, you are actually preparing a base. जैसे हम बड़ी इमारत, if you want to construct a big building, first you should have a good foundation. So you can start making the foundation now, but don't directly get into UPSC, because in these 3 years of your graduation, suppose now if you after 12th, if you opt for some course, you may have a different perspective of life. Okay, so I always advise that one must decide after graduation, because that is the right age to make your own decisions and understand and evaluate the life that you have to live in future.
So I think, Advita, you are satisfied with the answer. If you have any query, you can just ask once again. I now move on to Mitali Wagle. Please ask your question. You can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah. Sir, I wanted to check with you what, like we know that the commissioner has to be an IAS, IAS graduate, IAS officer. So what are the, services, if you have to tell us? There are commissioners, there are chief secretaries. So like that, what are the, the actual services, the actual posts that IAS or IFS officers uh, finally get into? Also, another question I had.
You can just rephrase your, or rather phrase your question, and till then we'll request sir to answer this question. Till then you can ask another question. Sir, could you just answer this
I'll
question
answer
first?
this question.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, if you ask me about IAS, the postings that IAS offers is you initially you become a sub-divisional magistrate, in your probation days. You also work as Tahsildar, BDO in a probation days. Then you start with Chief Executive Officer of Jilla Parishad. Then you become collector of a district. So that is after 7 to 8 years of your selection period, you become collector. Then depending on what the government wants to post you.
Sir, you are muted. So please unmute yourself.
Yeah, so I'll repeat again. See, talking about IAS, I'll tell you, initially, in the probation, you work as Tahsildar, you work as BDO, then you start as the head of the district in Jilla Parishad. So you start with CEO Jilla Parishad, Chief Executive Officer of Jilla Parishad. So this offers a gamut of different departments to work. And there are 16 to 17 departments. Jilla Parishad is also called as mini Mantralaya because it has all the departments that work for rural development. Then there is a post of collector. The collector is also the district magistrate. He is overall leader of the entire administration in the district. Then you can also be posted as municipal commissioners. So municipal commissioners are in charge of the entire city or the corporation area that there. Then there are posts like Commissioner Education, Commissioner Cooperation, Sports Commissioner. Then you can be State Excise Commissioner. You can be Food and Drugs Administration Commissioner. You can be Secretary of a department. There are so many 35 line departments, different departments, urban development, revenue, irrigation, women and child. So you can be Secretary of the department. You can also be heading organizations like the MIDC. You can be the CEO of Maharashtra Industrial Development Corporation. So there are different varieties of posting that IAS offers. After the secretary posting, you become principal secretary, then you become additional chief secretary, and some of them who are lucky, they become chief secretary. So these are the patterns of promotions of IAS.
Thank you so much, sir. I now invite Sarosh Ahmed Lambate to ask a question. Please unmute yourself. Ask your
Yeah.
question.
Good morning, sir. Sir, the advantages of being an IAS are known to everyone. But nobody knows what are the cons or disadvantages, or maybe the work pressure, which is not known to everyone. So, can you elaborate on it?
Yeah, it's a very good question, and I'm happy that you're looking at it in this way also. See, work pressures. I mean, every career, every profession has its own work pressure. Whether it's a doctor, engineer, and what we say occupational hazards or maybe occupational challenges that every profession has. Definitely, IAS has it's a very big or you can say very heavy work pressure. Number one, because you are actually heading an organization which is working for the welfare or working for the law and order. If you're collector of a district, then uh, you have to be, in command, in control of the entire situation. As collector, whether there is a natural disaster, whether there is a flood, whether there is law and order situation, whether there is famine, whether there is all these challenges. So these are the issues which are actually concerned with the common man, the citizens of India. So the work pressure is definitely huge, but slowly you learn to manage that work pressure. Also, you learn to live with that work pressure, and sometimes that pressure also extracts good performance from you. That is what I feel.
So I now invite Yash Yadav to please ask his question. Yash, if you can just unmute yourself.
Hello, sir. I am a 12th standard student. Sir, I wanted to ask that is it always the talent which beats hard work, or it can an average guy can also crack UPSC or can opt to go in that field? Please, can you elaborate on it?
Yeah, definitely. See, your marks in 10th and 12th don't matter. Or see, sometimes what happens, a student may not be serious in his studies till 10th and 12th because he's more interested in sports or extracurricular activities. That is, I mean, my case was that. I was more interested in sports and extracurricular activities. But that doesn't mean that you cannot cope up and you cannot get success in UPSC. It all depends on from which stage of life you become serious. So some students become serious after 12th, some students become serious, after graduation. But if you're keen, like what Dr. Archana Pati was saying, if you're really passionate, ready to work hard, put in your best, I don't think, there is a bar that only a brilliant student can succeed and average student cannot. I have seen many average students also. I mean, average in the sense they were not really, they didn't have very good marks in 10th and 12th or maybe graduation, but they have succeeded in UPSC. So that hardly matters. Yes, you'll get yes if you're passionate.
Absolutely. So well said, sir. It all matters. It's it's your mind and your passion and your hard work, which is ultimately going to get you whatever you want. So go for it, Yash. Definitely you can do it. Okay, so I invite Saksham to ask his question. Saksham, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Good morning, sir. Sir, I have recently completed my 10th class and I have opted for humanities as I was clear for my target since last year that I want to go for writing civil services examination. And I think that I will get much time to prepare for the exam in humanities stream. So I just want to ask that was it a right decision to opt for this stream, even though I know that it can't be changed now, but still I want to know.
See, Saksham, since you are Saksham to take a decision, and you have taken that decision of going for arts. That's a good decision. I mean, many successful candidates I've seen in UPSC uh, have been focused right from the age of 15, that is 10th standard, and gone in for art subjects and devoted good 5 years of their studies for art subject and then cracked in the first attempt. So that's a good decision. Many times students uh, take decision so that they have something to fall back on. So that is also a way of decision making. But it all depends on individual. If you're very confident and if you're very passionate about the civil services right from this age, then I think it's a very good decision. be with it and go ahead with that.
So I invite Anil Nandedkar to ask his question. Mr. Nandedkar, please unmute yourself. Ask your question.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are
Yeah.
audible.
Yes, sir. My query was, should we have a plan B before starting preparations for civil services? I mean to say, should we do some professional graduation, like some engineering degree or some medical degree, just as a plan B, or should we be confident to go ahead after 12th start preparing? It's a dilemma. Many people say you secure some
I know.
good career. Yeah.
It's a very classic dilemma, Anil. And
Yes, sir.
yeah, it's a very classic dilemma that I've been witnessing from the days I've started studying. And
Yes.
it is again an individualistic decision. But personally, if you ask me, I always have a plan B, because I did my MBA as a plan B, because there are inherent risks of any competitive examination, whether it is UPSC, whether it is IIT exam, any exam has inherent risks involved in that. So it is sometimes really good to have a plan B, because that gives you confidence also. Because see, if
Yes.
you're doing medical, if you're doing MBBS and then thinking of writing, you are already a doctor. If
Yes,
you're
sir.
doing MBA, you are already MBA. I mean, you have something
Yes.
to fall back on. So sometimes that gives you more, that reduces your anxiety to write exams also.
Yes, sir.
But again, it is individualistic. Like initially, if you the earlier question, Satyan said he wanted to go for arts right from 10th standard. So it is again an individual decision. But personally speaking, my nature, I always have a plan B.
Absolutely. And since you can appear for civil services only after graduation, might as well complete this graduation in something which will give you a chance for plan B. And then, yes, side by side, you can always prepare for your civil services. And with that, your graduation is going nowhere. So, Advita, you want to ask a question again? Please come in. Unmute yourself.
Yes, sir. I wanted to ask another question, being that, like, I am aware how the process of civil services examination takes place, and like it's there online. But could you, as yourself have given the exam, give us more clarity of how do we actually go through the entire process of civil services?
I wouldn't go through this procedure again. Jokes apart, see, the time that we wrote the exam and now this pattern of examination, there's a lot of change. But the basic pattern remains the same, that there is a preliminary examination to screen out candidates for the main examination. Then there is a main examination to screen out candidates for the personal interview, that we call personal assessment, that is the interview. So ideal period to, Advaita, to start studying would be at least 1 year before the prelim exams, so that you are quite in control of your optional subject. You get time to choose your optional subject, rationally. You get time to collect books and study material well in advance, and then you sit and start studying, initially 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, because the syllabus is so huge that you have to increase studying hours also. So I think 1 year is quite appropriate. For prelims, you can start studying at least 6 months before for the preliminary examination. And between preliminary examination and the main examination, you hardly have 3 to 4 months. And between main examination and the interview, you hardly have 1 or 2 months. So you should space out the study so that you're comfortable for studying for prelims as well as mains and the interview. As far as interview goes, it is not a preparation of 1 or 2 months, because it is a persona of a person. it starts developing right from the school days. So you have to make a SWOT analysis of your own personality. So what are your strengths? Where are you weak? Where are you, what opportunities you find in your personality? So start developing your weaknesses. Start, um, cashing on your strengths. So you exactly before you go for the interview, you have eliminated your weaknesses. You have developed more of your strengths, so that you face the interview also in a very confident way. So these are the stages that one has to phase out and look for the UPSC.
Absolutely, sir. And in continuation with the same question, could you just elaborate on what is the age limit to appear and what are the number of attempts the students can have?
Age limit now for the open candidates is 32. Right, and I think I'm not sure about the number of attempts, but the number of attempts must be 5. But they are different for the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe and OBC candidates. Yeah.
I invite Ayurshi to ask a question. Ayurshi, please unmute yourself. Ayurshi. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. Very good afternoon, sir. I'm actually a 12th science student. I've completed my 12th standard this year. So my question was, so what was your way of preparation and any institute you would like to recommend us for our further preparations?
Ayurshi, are you a graduate?
It's a 12th standard student, she
She's a
said.
12th
She's
standard
just
student.
passed, yeah.
Just passed. Then you don't have to bother about the academy or the institute from now onwards. I think you should think about that once you are a graduate. But if you want to know about, civil service, there there's a good institute run by Thane Corporation in Thane, Paranjpe. I think that is one institute. And as I mentioned earlier, there's a state institute for administrative careers at CST. So that is run by the state government. So that is one of the best institutes that I would recommend. And then there are a number of private institutions right in Delhi and Pune. There's a Chanakya Academy. Then Pune, in Delhi, we have Vajiram and Rao, the different academies. But I think this is the time when you should focus more on general reading. And after graduation, you can think of actually the guidance from the academies.
So I invite Sanju Pardeshi to ask question. We have last 4 questions coming in. Sir, is that okay if we take last 4 questions? 4 people have raised hands. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So Mr. Sanju Pardeshi, please ask your question.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
I'm asking the question as a parents. My daughter is in 10th standard and she wanted to pursue a civil service examination. As a parents, I want that she should do graduation in certain field that even if she is not able to be successful in civil service, she should have something with her. So my question is that which faculty or which stream will be better to go for civil service exam? Means from which stream she should complete a graduation?
See, there is no bar on any stream. She can be a doctor, she can be a BSc, B Pharmacy, she can be engineer, she can be a plain arts graduate. So that hardly matters for UPSC. The basic condition is just a graduate.
Okay.
But the way you are thinking about the plan B, then the qualification that you want her as a plan B can be any qualification. That doesn't, that will not matter while writing the UPSC. So I would advise you should choose a graduation career which is good for a career if she doesn't make into civil services. So any graduate is okay for civil services.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
So there must be some compulsory subjects and there must be some optional subjects to prepare for UPSC. So what are the compulsory subjects which the students have to go through, so that based on that they can take a call as to what subjects they will be studying during their graduation years, which may prepare them for a little bit for the UPSC examination.
See, as I mentioned earlier, there is a optional subject that one has to choose. So optional subjects, there are, I think, 50 to 60 subjects from which you can choose an optional subject, right from the humanitarian sciences like history, geography, anthropology, chemistry, mathematics, there are engineering, all aspects of engineering, electronics engineering, mechanical engineering, then all literature languages. You can have Hindi literature, Marathi literature, Urdu literature. So there's a good choice of optional subjects. So, so optional subject, as I mentioned, should be one which interests you. Then there are compulsory subjects like general studies, the essay topics. There is a paper on essay. So you are given some topics, 4 to 5 topics. And you have to write an essay based on that topic. So essay writing is one. Then there are papers on ethics and all. So these are the compulsory subjects. So general studies is, again, as I mentioned, it's compulsory subject, and which requires a huge, very large base of study.
Okay. So I think we could elaborate, I mean, rather we could sum it up in this way, that whichever stream you get into, you will find at least one optional subject, from the stream of your choice, whichever you get into, and then there will be certain compulsory subjects. So which stream you do your graduation from will not hamper your preparation for the UPSC in any way. So I think this is what the parent wanted to hear. I invite Barjees Sheikh. Barjees Sheikh, please unmute yourself and ask your question. Yes, please ask your question. You have unmuted yourself. Please ask your question. Please ask your question. Okay, so till then I'll move on to Mitali Wagle. Mitali, please unmute yourself. You want to ask another question, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, so I have 2-3 questions. I'll just run through them fast. So is there a different syllabus for IFS than IAS? And what would be the job titles for that?
No.
Will they be different?
No. There is one single examination for IAS, IPS, Foreign Service, Railways, Defense State, Different Accounts. There's only one exam.
Okay.
It depends on what preference you give and what merit you get.
Okay. And the syllabus is, everything is the same for all?
Same, yeah.
Okay, and geography, history, which you said, which are the general subjects, what are we expected? Indian geography, history, or international, or both?
See, all optional subjects like geography, history, sociology, anthropology, you should expect a syllabus of MA level, postgraduate level. Okay. So it will include Indian geography, world geography, it will have everything. World map, India map. So the syllabus is normally of the post-graduation level for all subjects.
So the optional subject will be geography and not Indian geography. Is that correct?
No, it will be geography.
Geography. Okay. So will art students who have dropped maths and science, will they have a disadvantage? Because nowadays schools also have an option to drop math in grade 9th and 10th. So how much basic level of maths and science is required?
See, basic level of 8th standard, time and speed, distance problems, the work and men required. I mean, these are the levels of.
Okay, so it's quite basic.
That's basic level. Yeah. So it doesn't matter if a student drops maths or science.
So I invite Mr. Lambate to ask his question again. He wants to ask a question again. We are taking last 2 questions here.
Sir, I have 2 questions. The first question being that, so when the posting is allotted, like the cadre is allotted after we become an IFS officer, so it is of the home state or it is around India anywhere?
No, you are given choice of three states. You have to give choice of 3 to 4 states. And depending on the merit, you are allotted the states. So not necessarily you will get home state. You may have to go to any other state also.
Okay. And second question being that, sir, what is the political interference in the job of an IFS officer in that sense? Like, do politicians interfere a lot in the work and everything?
See, as you know, executive and legislature are two different arms of governance. So there will be always pulls and pressures, expectations of people which are reflected through the people's representatives. So one may not call it political interference because even if a person insists that you do something and if you don't do, you have the right to choose what you have to do. So as I mentioned earlier in all my earlier postings, whatever initiatives I started, what Dr. Archana Patil ma'am mentioned, which are being implemented at the national level, no one opposed me because they were for the betterment of the society. Sometimes there are varied interests, but this is not the time to think about that. When you join the services, maybe you will understand the nitty-gritties and will be able to manage that.
So it's like once you fall into a puddle, you learn to swim through it, you know. So yes, the time teaches you and your experience rather teaches you a lot.
Yeah.
And you get into the civil services only and only if you have leadership qualities. So once you are a leader, you know how to get through the problems. So with this, we have got 3 more questions. Sir, is it okay if we take those 3 questions, if you allow?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So Barjeet Sheikh, please ask your question. Last 3 questions will be ending after these 3 questions. Barjeet Sheikh, please ask
Yes,
your
ma'am.
question. Yeah, please ask.
Yes, ma'am. Good noon, sir. I'm a student of standard 10th. Right now, I'm studying in standard 10th, and throughout lockdown, I have got to know a lot many things about UPSC, and I have a question that uh, uh, current affairs play a vital role in UPSC examination. So, as a student, what type of news should we focus on, or with respect to UPSC?
Yeah, good question, Burjis. I mean, Dr. Archana ma'am, I'm so happy there are so many students of 10th and 12th standard and they're so keen on asking about civil services. See, current affairs definitely plays a very important role in the general studies. It is the heart of general studies paper in the examination. So what I would advise, from this age, you should at least start reading one newspaper, maybe of vernacular language, or if you're planning to give exam in your vernacular language, you can choose reading a vernacular paper. Or if you are planning to write in English, this also I want to make it clear that sometimes students feel that they're not very good at English. So will they be able to really study for UPSC? Language doesn't matter. You can write in Marathi, you can write in Urdu, you can write in Punjabi, you can write in your own language. Now, even interview also you can give in your own language. So if you're not good in English and if you're from Maharashtra, I will say कि मुझे मराठी में देने का है. So there is an option for that also. So language barrier has gone now. Earlier it used to be very urban biased because the rural students were not good at English. So they've always had that inferiority complex whether I would be able to crack UPSC or not. So fortunately, there's no language barrier. You can write in your own language also. So the question that Bajis you asked was about current affairs. So start reading at least one English or any language paper that you intend to write into. If you're English, maybe I would recommend the Hindu or even the Times of India. But at this age, you are more keen to read about the movie stars, and that's not wrong. And the sports page that you must read that also. Apart from that, start switching over to the center of the newspaper. That is the editorial page. It's very बहुत heavy रहता है, but start trying to read, there are some articles on economics, there are some articles on analysis of Indian economy, or all those articles that initially you'll find very tough to read. But if you start reading from now onwards, you'll develop good interest in that. Apart from that, since you have asked about current affairs, I would always tell students that you should start subscribing to one magazine. Our times it was CSR, Competition Success Review. But now I think there is Career and Competition Times, or there are some good magazines which constantly give you inputs about current affairs. So start reading a current affairs magazine right from this age, if you are keen, from 10th standard or 12th standard, or if you have started graduation, from graduation. Subscribe to one magazine. Then there are good magazines of Government of India, like Yojana, that give you details of entire government schemes, analysis of government scheme, Yojana, Kurukshetra. Then there is EPW, Economic and Political Weekly. So that is also a very good analytical magazine which analyzes Indian economy, the social issues, the unemployment issues. So start subscribing to these. They're very cheap ones. Hardly, the cost is hardly 10 rupees, 20 rupees a month. So start subscribing to Yojana, Kurukshetra, EPW, maybe one Career Competition Times or something equivalent to that. Buy a current affairs huge guide. Our times it used to be unique, quintessential, used to be this thick. Now it has grown this thick, I am told. So try to read into those current affairs things. Then there are questions on culture, then there are questions on temples, there are questions on different aspects. So start enjoying reading this kind of books and all, and focus on at least one newspaper, so that you start developing an analytical mind of looking at things. Also, develop a mind where to each issue, whatever issue comes to you, you should apply economical, political, social, cultural aspects to analysis of that question. Develop this insight of your analytical mind. Look at every issue that comes to you, maybe in the school, maybe in the college. Look at it from these different aspects of life: economical, political, cultural, social. You start developing that analytical mind.
Sir, you look to be in some discomfort. So should we continue last two questions or should we stop? Sir, you are not audible.
Yeah, I mean, there's a slight pain, but I can
Yeah.
take last two questions. Yeah.
Last two questions. Is that okay, sir? Okay. So we'll just go quickly. Please ask your questions quickly. Anil Chawla, please come in, ask your question. Anil Chawla.
Good afternoon, sir. Really, your session was very nice, sir. I just want to ask you, sir, what is your advice to the parents so that they can motivate their child to be an IAS officer? Because being a child, they are not aware exactly in which field is better for them, something like that. I just want to know what is a better way to explain them. Civil services are one of the best services in the to make some changes in the overall system. And secondly, one more thing, just like we have an institute in CST, why can't we have the same thing in Kalyan under your able leadership? That's it, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Good afternoon, Mr. Anil. I would advise you not to motivate your children to, write UPSC or do this career or that career. I mean, it's my personal opinion. Because as I told you, most of the students, they come to writing UPSC because of pressure from the parents. Because sometimes, I mean, with due respect to the career that you may be doing, and it's not for you, it's for in general parents that I'm telling you this, that most of the parents see their dreams in their children. So personally, I feel that should be avoided, because your child may not be really keen on making changes in the society. He may be just keen on being a happy individual, happy citizen of this country. So let her or him choose what is better for him once he becomes a graduate, or maybe once he start understanding after after 10th or 12th. If she really feels, yes, if she or he really feels that she should enter into government service to make these changes, then definitely motivate. Then stand like a rock, because this also happens that some children are very keen on writing UPSC and the parents don't support. They say, no, you should be earning now. Look at X and Y, XYZ. He is now getting so much salary and you are just sitting at home and studying for UPSC. So if your child is really keen, then support fully. Second question that you asked is, we've started a small center now at Sarjanand Chowk, where around 35 students are now studying for UPSC and MPSC. So corporation has given that space to them. We have also purchased books worth 5 lakh rupees for all competitive exams. And now 35 students are studying there. So we intend to actually start more of such study centers in the city. So we already identified 5 more centers. And I'm so happy that you mentioned about this. We'll definitely start more competitive exam centers in the corporation area.
That's
I
wonderful,
hope
sir. And
I have
you
answered you.
really rightly said. I mean, let the children, choose career according to their strengths and weaknesses, and help them in choosing their career in the right way. We have already taken how children can choose their career and how parents can help them choose their career in 2 sessions prior, and that video is already available on the YouTube. So parents, please go through that and see, do their aptitude test, do their career counseling, and then take a call. And I think everybody finishes graduation by the age of 21 or 22, and they still have 10 more years in hand, because civil services examination they can undertake till 32 years of age. So they do have 10 years in hand if they wish to go for it. So yes, definitely support them if they wish to go for it. Mr. Nandedkar, yours will be the last question that we are taking. Please come in, ask your question.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. My question is, I would like to request sir to elaborate a little bit more on coaching classes, ma'am.
As in?
When to join after graduation or after 12th, and which coaching classes, to be precise, government institutions versus private ones.
See, I mean, first of all, Anilji, there is no need to join coaching class. At least 70% of students who get selected into UPSC have not gone to any coaching class. And I know many students who have not taken guidance from any coaching class and they are into IAS now. But if you're still looking for some, if you're still looking for some coaching classes, then the one that I mentioned, which is run by state government, I think that is one of the best. Then there is one in Thane also run by the corporation. And then there are various private coaching classes which I'm really not aware of. But coaching classes should be looked at just for initial support of study material, or maybe initial guidance of what optional subject to choose. And the students who study there can be helpful to you. But it all depends on individual. Coaching classes are not a must for UPSC.
I think, thank you so much, sir. And that covers almost everything related to the civil services. And you've been very kind. I mean, despite having your discomfort, which is visible, you have been kind enough to answer all the questions so patiently. And thank you for taking time out from your busy schedule and attend this session and guide the parents, teachers, and students in careers in civil services. And before I formally, give a vote of thanks, just a small announcement, sir, with your kind permission.
Well, just 1 minute.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. First of all, Dr. Pate ma'am, I'm so thankful to you for giving me this opportunity. I really love this. Last Sunday, I think I was at Panvel for giving this coaching classes guidance. Sorry, not the coaches, the civil services guidance.
Right.
And one feels very happy to interact with the young students and understand their aspirations and passions for the civil services. I really appreciate IMA Maharashtra to organize this kind of sessions on a very frequent basis, and I'm so thankful that I could interact and I could answer the questions of the students to their expectations.
So basically, it makes a lot of difference. Somebody who's into the services, and you are answering all practical, from the practical point of view, and somebody answers this from the coaching class point of view, then things become very, very different. They take an entirely different perspective. So I think the students and the parents have really got enlightened today. And I'm sure looking at you, many are going to be motivated, to study UPSC, like somebody was a motivation for you. And you're going to be, proving motivation to many other students, and I really hope we get to see a future generation doing really well in the studies. And just with your kind permission, sir, I'll be making the announcement for the next class. I hope my screen is visible. On 26th June, Sunday at 11 a.m., we'll be having Career in Defense Services, and the speaker will be Lieutenant Colonel retired Mr. Pradeep Brahmankar. This will be on Zoom, and it will be going live on the same YouTube channel, Teen Talk, as well. So do join in for our next session on Teen Talk for Career in Defense Services. And now it really gives me great pleasure to give a formal vote of thanks, sir. From IMA Maharashtra State, please allow us to present this certificate of gratitude to you for giving your expert guidance during the career guidance webinar on career in civil services for students, parents, and teachers, organized by Mission Pink Health, IMA Maharashtra State, today, Sunday, 12th June 22, under Teen Talk series, sir. I'll be definitely coming personally and presenting this to you. Thank you so much, sir. You've been really kind to come today and guide everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.